So what is necessary inference? You may not know the exact definition of it, but we all use it every day. It's a term based on logic. And the Bible has lots of necessary inferences to find, or examples of it in the Bible. So the word inference derives from the Latin root that signifies to gather in. So logic is a science of critical thinking, and Paul talked about inferences tonight, so that worked in really well. So within the context, an inference suggests the idea of gathering in the data or items of information from various sources. So you may have information over here, here, and here, and you bring it all together, and I can come up with necessary inferences. This is the true matter of the fact. Well, there's two kinds of inferences. There's reasonable inference and necessary inference. Just to give you a quick definition of a reasonable inference, let's say I wake up tomorrow morning, and well, let's do it in the summertime. It's probably better. I wake up in the summertime or the spring, man, the clouds are black and thunder and lightning's going off. I can reasonably infer that it's going to rain. It might not, but I'm going to pack some rain gear with me when I get in my truck to go do whatever I'm going to do. And boots will be prepared. So that's reasonable. I can reasonably infer that it's going to rain shortly, so I need to prepare. There's no impact if it does or doesn't. If I didn't pack rain gear, so what? I get wet. So that's my example for reasonable. So necessary inference means that the conclusion drawn from the fact are irresistible. So as an example of a necessary inference would be, say I wake up tomorrow morning and there's fresh snow all over the ground. Well, I can infer that the temperature where the snow developed was at least 32 degrees or colder at whatever elevation it was formed at. It might be 40 degrees on the ground, but that's not where the snow was formed. It fell from the sky. So it needs to be at least a minimum of 32 degrees. And that's a true fact. When I moved here, I didn't realize it snowed at 40 degrees. I shortened it around. So when I first read this definition, I was like, man, I see snow, but then I had to read farther. It's talking about where the snow was formed. It's okay, I get it. So that is a true fact. Let's see, what else did I hear? So that's my site. Inference has fallen on hard times in the church, so some people reject it and don't want to use inference, unnecessary inference. So here's an example of necessary inference in the Old Testament. So Solomon's dedication of the temple that enables the careful Bible student to derive some information that he could not know but for inference. So you have to gather this information from several verses. So at the dedication, Solomon prayed a wonderful prayer soliciting Jehovah's blessing upon the sacred house. An inspired writer subsequently notes that Jehovah appeared to Solomon by night in response to the petition. And that's in 2 Chronicles 7 and verse 12. The text does not mention precisely how the Lord appeared. But we can gather some more information and see if we can figure that out. So that leaves the episode kind of clouded in mystery. But other passages, however, allow us to arrive at a full understanding of the truth relative to this incident. So in a parallel record, a sacred writer says that Jehovah appeared to Solomon as he had appeared unto him at Gideon. And that's documented in 1 Kings 9:2. Well, how was that? The text does not specify. So he appeared to him, and the appearance was the same thing as it was in Gideon. So putting the related, so then another related passage says that in Gideon, Jehovah appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. So now we know it was in Gideon, it was at night, and it was in a dream. And the dream is in 1 Kings 3:5. So you put all this together, we gather the different information. So if God appeared to Solomon in Jerusalem as he did in Gideon, and he appeared to the king in Gideon in a dream, then it necessarily follows when that the Lord's appearance to Solomon in Jerusalem was in a dream. So gathered all this different information, we found more about Solomon's vision there. Let's see here, where's my page here? What paragraph was I on? Okay, so let's bring it into today. Let's cite a couple examples from the New Testament. And so in the New Testament, in Mark 16:16, and Acts 3:38 says you need to repent and be baptized. All right, well, some folks believe that babies need to be baptized. Well, can a baby believe? And can a baby repent? Not hardly. So since babies cannot believe nor do they repent because they have no sins, then it follows necessarily that infants are not candidates for baptism. So that's an argument, and that's using this necessarily inference. So here's another example. So in the first century, Church of Christ met each Lord's Day for worship. This is established by the phrase "first day of every week," as reflected in the Greek text of 1 Corinthians 16:2, as most of the modern translations also use every week. Additionally, the New Testament records establish that the fact that the main purpose of the Sunday meeting was to celebrate the Lord's Supper. So they gathered together every first day of the week to take the Lord's Supper. So since we know Christians met each Lord's Day, and inasmuch as it is clear that the primary purpose of the gathering was to observe the Lord's Supper, it necessarily follows that the early church, under the supervision of the inspired apostle, observed the Lord's Supper every Sunday. And that's the use of necessary inference. So churches today who seek to be biblical in their worship must follow this apostolic practice. So conclusion, the logical concept of necessary inference is a perfectly legitimate reasoning device. We use it almost every day, and it is no less valuable in arriving at scriptural conclusions. And there's lots of ways to use it, but that's all I'm going to go over tonight. So, if anybody's subject to the invitation, and you need prayers, we have to come and stand.